Hey, I'm Jusko from ProudMoney.com. Citi today announced Citi Pay Credit, a new credit card / credit product that is essentially a way for you to make large purchases and get special promotional financing on those big purchases from a range of retailers that would be in the Citi Pay Credit network. Now, if that doesn't make sense right off the bat, if you think about how a lot of store credit cards work right now, there are many stores out there that have cards that offer 0% financing when you buy big things. And so you have to sign up at one store to get their credit card in order to get your 0% financing when you buy, something big at Home Depot or at Pottery Barn or some, regional furniture store or whatever. And you get that card just for the 0% financing, and then you probably never even use it again. And then if you go to another store, you got to get their card. You go to another store, you got to get their card. If you make big purchases at all these places, Citi Pay Credit would be something where you have one card that you could use at store A, store B, and store C. Now, all those stores would have to accept Citi Pay Credit, and in many cases, if they do, they might even be offering it to you when you make the big purchase, saying, hey, you want to buy that? You could use Citi Pay Credit and get 0% financing. Bloomberg had an article about the new Citi Pay Credit today, and they compared it to Care Credit, which is issued by Synchrony Bank, and that is a credit card that you can use for healthcare financing when you have big purchases that you are making. So if you are getting dental implants from the dentist, or you're getting LASIK surgery, or getting some other elective surgery done, if you have the Care credit card, you can get 0% financing or maybe installment loan financing with a lowered interest rate. And then oftentimes the way you get into Care Credit, and probably oftentimes the way you would get into the Citi Pay Credit, is that it's actually the doctor or the healthcare professional that is offering it to you once you see how big that bill is going to be. So you're getting the financing on the spot, but once you actually get into Care Credit, then you could use it across anybody else that accepts Care Credit. Same thing with Citi Pay Credit. Once you have it with one retailer, then you'd be able to use it with anybody else that also accepts it. Now, while Citi announced Citi Pay Credit today, they were a little light on other details. First off, they didn't give you any way to actually apply for Citi Pay Credit along with this announcement. They didn't offer any list of retailers that would be accepting Citi Pay Credit. And even though they said this will not actually be a physical credit card, it will be a digital-only credit card, they did not give any further details on how that will work exactly. I assume you'll have sort of a dedicated app for the Citi Pay Credit, but it is possible that somehow it would be rolled into your Citi account otherwise if you have other Citi credit cards. So not a lot of information on that front. I would have thought that they would have wanted to have at least 2 or 3 kind of big name retailers all ready to go when they made this announcement, instead of saying, hey, it's available, but you don't know how to get it and there's nowhere you can use it and all that kind of thing. So it's a little anticlimactic. Citi also didn't offer any details in terms of what the interest rate might be on Citi Pay Credit outside of whatever promotional financing that you get. Now, obviously, if you're going after a big purchase and want promotional financing, you probably want to pay it all off during your 0% period, and you're not going to just use the card willy-nilly. But anyway, they didn't say anything about that. And then they also said that they are going to be rolling out what they are calling Citi Pay Installment Loan, another sort of generic name, but it will be installment loans, sort of on the same track as what we just talked about, versus being sort of 0% financing. You have to pay it off with a certain amount of time. This would be where you get anywhere from 6 to 60 months, depending on the what the retailer wants to offer, and you would then pay in equal monthly installments, I assume at a reduced interest rate from what you would expect with a traditional credit card. So a couple thoughts on Citi Pay Credit. Number one, it is an alternative to Citi credit cards and other bank credit cards that run through the MasterCard or Visa or American Express networks, and you can use them wherever that type of card is accepted. This is something where you're going to have a certain number of retailers that accept Citi Pay Credit which is a name I'm having a hard time remembering. And then anyone who is in that network, that is where you'll be able to get the special financing and use this type of credit. Now, Citi already, with their bank credit cards, offers Citi Flex Pay and Citi Flex loans that allow you to make purchases and then pay them off more like an installment loan at a reduced interest rate. And you'll see this on a lot of other credit cards these days as well. But it's a little confusing, I think, to a lot of current card holders how those programs work. So to have a dedicated product that has a dedicated name to it maybe makes more sense in terms of the branding. And then number two, and maybe more important, is the fact that with Citi Pay Credit, you are kind of signing up your merchants, your retailers, and having them do a lot of the marketing for you. So when people are coming in and buying and making that big purchase, your merchants are saying, hey, do you want to use Citi Pay Credit in order to get 0% financing or reduced interest financing, whatever the case might be, with that merchant? So you're getting your retailers to do a lot of your marketing instead of trying to just go out and find your card holders like with a traditional bank card. And then that sort of brings up the second point, which is you could also think of Citi Pay Credit as being sort of competition for the buy now, pay later companies that have sprung up, like Affirm, Afterpay, Klarna, etc., where they also are sort of having the retailer do a lot of the work, because once the retailers accept them, they are telling their customers that they do accept them, and in order to encourage them to make those larger purchases, they say, hey, you could use this to make your purchase instead of having to pay it all off today. So this is a way for Citi to sort of compete on two different fronts. Now, for those of us that like our credit card rewards, our cash back, or our travel points and miles, this is not something that is going to be necessarily all that interesting to us. However, even for people that do like those rewards, if you suddenly had a big purchase that you had to make and you knew you weren't going to be able to pay it all off in the 30 days or so that you were going to get with a traditional credit card, this still is something potentially that would be of interest to you. So that is the story. The last thing I will say is that it looks like Citi is using Citi Pay as the umbrella for a number of financing products. So there's going to be Citi Pay Credit, Citi Pay Installment Loans, Citi Pay whatever else they come up with, which to me, not the best branding in the world. It's a little generic. I think that Synchrony Bank actually came up with the right idea with Care Credit. It's its own brand, and it sort of stands for something different. I think out in the market, out on the market, it's not called Synchrony Medical Financing or something along those lines. So people kind of know what Care Credit is once they're into it as sort of a separate entity. So I think Citi might have been better off to come up with something like, you know, Massive Credit, or call it something interesting like that, and then put a bunch of money behind the branding of that, so it wasn't just another Citi product and then calling it Citi Pay. There's so many pay things out there on the market that we can't even keep track of what they all necessarily mean. So a little questionable, but maybe that's just the marketer in me. I would love to hear your thoughts about it all in the comments section below. Otherwise, I thank you for watching. And as always, please go to proudmoney.com, where we do credit card reviews. We talk personal finance, we talk deals, and all sorts of other fun stuff too. If you're not going to leave a comment or go to the website, you might want to watch this video next.